Okay, sorry, I thought I should leave, but I end the meeting. That was my mistake. Okay, so everyone please join in once again. My apologies. I just clicked on the end meeting all instead of leave meeting. Okay. So yeah, so everyone is there. Namaste Mudra ji, you're on time. Where is Michaela? Gayatri ji has come. Okay. Let me try and see whether now things are working fine or not. Show says share screen. I don't know what happened. So I get into this out. It's a new thing for me, so I don't know what's happening. But I thought coming out and entering it would be nice. Welcome, Michaela. You are in, so it's nice. Now let me once again try and let me know. Okay, is it still coming?
No, sir.
No? Okay, now very good. That is so. So that worked. So this is new thing, new learning experience. Life is all about to learn. Okay, so very nice. And I hide, because what happens, I can see you all in that case, right? So that was Van Damme, one of my favorite stars. I really love him. Okay, and here is the hip adductor. Okay, hip adductor. So as we know, anything that takes the leg, the appendicular in the midline of the body, the arm is the leg, is known as hip adductors. Okay, the leg basically. So now this is a muscle group. Okay, so we have adductor brevis, longus and magnus, brachialis and pectinis. Now, if you ever see a word T ahead of brachialis, it means that muscle is connecting to the tibia, right? Now, it also means if that muscle is connecting to the tibia, it is stabilizing your knee joint, right? It is stabilizing your knee joint. That means if you start focusing on stretching and strengthening the tibia, it will stabilize your knee. In return, it might help you to get rid of knee pain. Got it? It might help you to get rid of all the muscles that crosses. If you see the brachialis image, that muscle is connecting to the pelvic, but it is going down, crossing your knee and going in the insertion to the tibia. So any muscle, wherever the T is mentioned, you should understand that, okay, there is a connection to the tibia. That means the origin is the pelvic and the insertion is at the tibia. That means I need to either stretch, either strengthen, depending upon what body type it is. According to that, I have to check. So tibia can be a reason of knee pain. Now we will try to understand how is that. Okay, so adductor, it's even if you friends remember that hip adductor group of muscles, that's completely fine, because most of them are doing the same job of hip adduction. As you see, you can now easily know where is the origin, where is the insertion, what is happening. Okay, so let's get with this. Where is the origin? The origin is the pelvis. Insertion is the femur, but only the brachialis insertion is at the tibia, right? What is the primary job of that muscle, group of muscle? It is adducting. But as a synergist, it is also helping you in flexion and extension also, right? Some muscles are in front, it will slightly help. If some muscles are the back, it will slightly extend. So a slight flexion. So it is a supportive or the synergist group of muscle. The main primary mover of this group is adduction. Take the leg in the midline of the body. So what it does, it stabilizes the pelvic. That also means if this muscle is not toned up, if this muscle is weak, this can destabilize your pelvic too. People can have tilts. So going a little bit more further to understand, if it can be tight and weak, it can be tight and strong. Both options are there. First, people who have knock knee, the anatomical term of knock knee is known as valgum. Gum, think about it. Gum means to taste. So both the knee are coming, because sometimes there is a confusion. Oh, what is verum? What is valgum? In simple words, the last word gum, gum means to stick. Both the knees are sticking itself, right? Rum, rum is that rum, alcohol, rum. Okay, the legs are going out. Okay, in that way you can remember rum and well gum. Okay, so legs are internally rotated. Now people who have uh, it's like those who have a position where the legs are going in. Okay, so everything is fine if I have a flat foot. Okay, let me change the cam. Will that work? Just a second. Where is that? Okay, right. So if you see this position of mine, if there are many things that can create a problem in the knee joint, in the hip joint. This is my inner thigh muscles, adductor group of muscles. If I have a flat feet, what will happen? I will have legs going in. Because of the flat foot, my knees are going in, and because of the knee going in, my adductors are getting tight. Because of the adductors getting tight, I would have an anterior pelvic tilt. Making sense? Think about it. I have a flat feet. Because of the flat feet, as years passed by, I started having this knee caving in because of the flat foot. And after some time, because of the knee, my adductors are getting tight. And because of my adductors are getting tight, apart from a knee pain, I am also having an anterior pelvic tilt. And because of that anterior pelvic tilt, I am having a back pain. Making sense? Right? In the same way, people who have knock knee, they don't have a flat foot or anything. But because of the habit pattern of always sitting like this, or standing like this, some people have a habit of always standing like this. It's like they feel very comfortable. Or you sit like this all the time. Or, if this is your position, you are always activating, tightening your adductor group of muscles, but your abductor group of muscle is overstretching. You got it? What is happening? Just a sec. Let me magnify it to make you understand clearly. Okay, does it make sense? If I am always sitting like this or standing like this, my adductor is getting tight, and because of that, I can have a knee pain. Because of that, I can have a back pain. So anything that can work in opening my adductors, stretching my adductors, there you need to stretch your adductors. Why? Because I am this. I am knock knee. Always tight. Always the abductors is overstretched. My adductors are tight. So anything that will stretch this out and work on strengthening the abductors that was always overstretched and the adductors that was tight. So something like this will balance it both the sides. Now, where I will not stretch. Now, what happens? Those people who are verum. What does verum means? Their legs are going out. Right? You will find many people. Now, this especially happens in India. India, you will find most of the female after age of 40, 45, 50, when they cross, they start having a knee pain. The reason behind that is, most of the time, females in India sit in the cross-leg position. They do all their job in a cross-leg position. All their job. That is the reason what happens is the legs are going wide, the sartorius gets angry, it's over being worked, and that is the reason after a particular age, because they have never worked on their adductor group of muscles, the abductors are weak. After a particular age, they start having a knee pain because the abductors and the adductors are not working in unison together. It is one is got tight and one is got weak. That means either it is going outside, that is rum, veram, or valgum. People who are seated all the time like this, they might be in a long run would have a knee pain. In fact, those people who come for the teacher training courses that I have seen personally, when I was in Goa, most of the time people do come for the teacher training courses. Now, though their style, they always used to sit on a chair, on a sofa, everything where the leg was always like this. They never ever in their life sat like this. Never ever. Now, they are coming for a 200 hours of teacher training course. They are staying for 1 month in Goa, Dharamshala, or Rishikesh, any of the places. Now, over there, there is no chair. Everyone has to sit on a floor. Now, if you have been sitting like this for years and years and years, a day comes, you are going for a TTC and everyone is sitting like this and listening to the lecture, your sartorius muscle starts getting tighter. And due to that reason also, because always you were seated like this, you start sitting like this, the muscle, the longest muscle, we call it the talar muscle, sartorius, they start getting angry because they have never worked and they start pulling the knee, because even the sartorius crosses the knee joint and gets inserted in the tibia. Got it? And it can be a cause of knee pain. But if you stop sitting like this for 2-3 weeks, no problem. The knee pain is gone. So most of the people who come for a teacher's training course and their adductors have never been toned up, they have a knee pain, but when they go back home, the knee pain is lost. You got it? Change the cam. Does it make sense? Any questions with, are you understanding what I'm trying to explain you? Yeah? It does happen many a time, because if they don't have a habit of sitting in a cross-leg position, the whole adductor group of muscle is being stretched. Remember, if you stretch progressively, there is no problem. But if those people could actually use a bolster behind the knee and they could sit, the adductor would not be stretching that much. The sartorius would not be pressurized that much. Like if I sit in a cross-leg position, but I put 2 bolsters below the knee, sides of the knee, there is no, the laterally side, there's no problem. But that is what it happens. So too much of stretching of the adductor group of muscles. Okay, so let me share the screen once again. Okay, so okay, so legs internal, we went through overpronation of the flat foot, cause of back pain, anterior pelvic tilt, tight. Okay, that's happening tight. And now, worst case here, no hamstring stretch. Let us try to understand that thing also. Why no hamstring stretch? Oops, okay. I think we'll only cover adductors today, it seems. Okay, so what happens is, let us say, because of my adductors being tight, my pelvic is going anterior. Now think about the ischial tubulosity. Remember the bone, the bone that where we sit on, the sitting bone. If I am like this neutral, my quads and hamstring are both equally working. But now what is happening? I am anteriorly tilted. It can be many reasons, not only the adductors. Now what is happening? This muscle that was toned, but because of anteriorly tilted, this muscle is getting overstretched. Now you start doing downward facing dog all the time. You are overstretching that muscle that is not really required, because your adductors being tight, it is creating an anterior pelvic tilt itself. And with an anterior pelvic tilt, your quads are getting contracted and your hamstrings are getting stretched. And then what we do? Downward facing dog, stretch the hamstring, stretch the hamstring. Not really. In a downward facing dog, that is Adho Mukha Svanasana, you can bend the knees off the hamstrings. Try to stretch your pec major minor. Try to stretch your sit group of muscle, the shoulder group of muscle, right? Instead of always trying to stretch the hamstrings. That is the reason you really need to understand when I need to stretch the hamstrings or strengthen the hamstrings. And most of the time, in general, that I have seen, you need to strengthen the hamstrings. Why? Because our back muscles are always tight. For some people, see, normally you might feel, oh, when I'm stretching the hamstrings, I'm feeling nice. Like, it feels nice. But actually, that is feeling of tightness, but you need to strengthen it. Remember, most of the people would have an anterior pelvic tilt in general. And that is what is causing you an anterior pelvic tilt. The hamstrings, although you might feel tight, but it is not. It is not. Think about it once again, right? What I'm saying, whenever the pelvic is anteriorly tilted, think about the hip socket joint. In this region, if I am going like this, right? If I am going like this, what is happening to my iliac and psoas group of muscle? What is happening? My quad, they all getting tight. Even my rectus abdominis and all the other obliques are still getting tight. But what happening to my back? All is my gluteus maximus, medius minimus, my hamstrings, all are getting stretched because of my anterior tilt, right? And that is the reason you should try to focus more on Shalabhasana. Try to focus more on Virabhadrasana 3, where the other leg is in the air. Try to focus more on the tabletop position, where the one leg is in the air, right? Starting with a prone position, then you can go for a tabletop, then you can go for a Virabhadrasana 3. Making sense? You need to focus on that. And you know what? In general, you will always find the scenario that the hamstrings are always weak. Why? Because our gait, our way of walking, whenever we walk, we always use the quads first. And the hamstrings are passive. Quad. So if I have to walk, what is happening when I'm walking? Hip flexor, down. Hip flexor, down. Hip flexor, down. So every time when I'm walking, what is happening? Hip flexor, hip flexor, hip flexor. So hip flexor is contracting all the time, but the hamstring are just being pulled away. You don't do like this, and you don't take the leg very slowly back, right? So that always happens when you're doing this and this, right? If I take the leg slowly, then my hamstrings are working. But that, what I do, active and just goes back, active, and that is the reason you will always find. And to balance it, I say start walking reverse, start jogging reverse, start walking sideways, where you start working on the abductors and adductors, right? It's a good way to balance your muscles. Otherwise, always it's your one muscle being more tight than the other. Yeah. Okay. So yes, Erita, go ahead.
If someone has their knees outwards, okay, what should they ideally be avoiding? Because especially in the Surya Namaskar and you're doing Ashwasanchalanasana, their knees tilting completely out.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
so. Yes, that's a lot of pressure on the knee, right? That means what you mean to say is wait. It is this, right? They are doing right, and the leg is going like this, right? So it is. So what is happening? That's the reason. If you are doing a Virabhadrasana and if the leg is going out like this, what is happening? Adductors are being unnecessarily stretched and the AB ductors are being tight. You have to see that you try to put the knee on the floor and first try to see that you can correct them. The big ball of the toe, the big ball of the pinky toe, and the heel. If you can try to connect these 3 points that are the foundation of your feet, right? And then when they lift up, try to see that less pressure and try to correct them. Don't go like too much down. Try to first correct it here, up. Might be, just one leg front and check. Okay, is it going out? Is it going in? Try to correct them there and then slowly put the load. Then slowly put the load. Then directly going this, because then they don't have strength, the leg will go out. For them, short lunge, where you can, okay, in the short lunge, the muscles, they are not that much active. In a deep lunge, there are strong activation of the muscles. So start with gradual with this, and then slowly you can go down, right?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so it's very important. Start even the squats that you do, go slow. Let me change the cam. Okay, fine.
Yes.
Okay, welcome. Okay, so we went through this. Non-contact ACL tear. What does that mean? So where's the image? Yes. This is the image of a knee joint. Non-contact ACL tear means if either my adductors are weak, the knee is playing out, and then there is a pressure either on one side of my knee. It can be on the anterior cruciate ligament. So if these two are there, it can be a pressure here that will create a problem in my ACL, or it can be here. If it is like this straight, then there is no problem. But either if it is go in, either it goes out, this will create a lot of tension in the ACL, anterior cruciate ligament. And this is what I have. I have a torn ACL. Me, since last 15 years, I have anterior cruciate ligament here. But I have been working on my abductor, adductor, flexor, extensor. No problem with my ACL. I have run marathon since 5 years. No problem. The only thing is you should know. But yes, if for 6 months I stop doing exercises, my knee pain starts. Yeah, 6 months. It takes time. It's not like instantly, but 5-6 months, if I've left anything, then it starts paining. So this is what it is. The knee pain, the cause can be your adductors. Okay. Avoid stretching but strengthening if varum. I told you, the legs are going out, playing out, then strengthening is good than stretching. So now it depends upon our yoga teachers to have a scrutinizing eye to know that when they are doing a Virabhadrasana 1, Virabhadrasana 2, how is their knee in line with the ankle? Is the knee coming with the second toe, or is it going slightly out? Is it going slightly in? This is what you need to focus on when they are doing the Virabhadrasana, or if they are even standing in Tadasana, what is their position of the ankle, knee and hip? Are they going out? Are they going in? A rough idea, especially when they are doing asymmetrical poses like tree pose. In tree pose, you will find that either they would be like this, okay, or they will be in. Something or the other would happen slightly, and that will give you an idea whether what you need to focus on. Avoid strengthening but stretching if valgum, right? Valgum is in. It's already tight. What you need to focus is on stretching it out. But remember, in both the case, a strengthening is also required, but keep more focus on stretching and less on strengthening, right? So you never give 100%, otherwise there's a disbalance coming in. So if you're repeating one side 5, the other side you repeat 2 twice. In that way, there would be a balancing. Okay. Is that clear? So whenever, like suppose, let me give an example. What I'm saying is avoid strengthening but stretching if valgum. What does that mean? I am having in. My knees are in. What I'm trying to do, I'm now trying to stretch. It is in, I'm trying to make it out, out, out. At the same time, you also need to focus on slightly strengthening it. Remember, it is tight, but the strengthening is not there. It is still weak. For that reason, you need to also work on strengthening too, but don't give too much of strengthening. Focus more on stretching in that case when it is a valgum, because the habitual pattern is it has gone tight. Okay. Check asanas. I told you Virabhadrasana 1, 2, 3 in relation to the ankle. You will get an idea whether what is the relation of the hip joint, ankle joint, the knee joint and the ankle joint. All the 3 things would play a very important role. Yeah. Check if flat foot, knee pain in runners. So runners would have a knee pain. Ice skaters, because they are always working on the adductor. So ice skaters with that one single blade, when they ice skate, there is where all the time the legs are, the adductors are quite tight because they have to use the adductor to stabilize the pelvic. Like skaters, they have to use the adductor to stabilize the pelvic. And that is the reason sometimes the adductors are tight for these people, because every time they are trying to squeeze in so that there will be more stability. Because if they squeeze, they take the leg out, there is a chances of falling, there is no stability. To stabilize, they have to engage the adductor as well as abductors. But because using the adductor more, it might have a tight adductor. In that case, you need to stretch. Okay. Stop stretching the hamstrings, very important, depending upon what they have. Fine. Okay, so what else? Okay, this is what it is. Hip adductor, pectoralis brevis, longus, magnus, tibia. The way to remember, so the in medical, in the medical term, if this is known as the mnemonics. The mnemonic is peanut butter leaves me greasy. This is the way you remember. This is the way you remember the muscle: pectoralis brevis, longus, magnus, brachialis. Okay, although you don't have to remember the names as such. I told you focus on the group of muscles, that okay, abductor group of muscles. But yes, in near future, if you want to really remember peanut butter leaves me greasy, try to think twice and thrice. It will just settle in your mind. When you're just sitting somewhere, peanut butter, think about the muscles, it will just come. Okay. So strength, so all supine side lying series will help. Anything on the sides when you're lifting the leg up. So that we will do. We'll do the practice today itself, so it will be clear. Okay, single leg lift lower. I'll tell you when to do and what to do. Both legs up, all these things. Any asymmetrical standing. What is Virabhadrasana? 1, 2, 3 is asymmetrical standing. Vrikshasana with a little bit of plantar flexion up and down. Also in Vrikshasana helps to work on the gastrocnemius, that is your calf muscle. So remember, even your calf muscle, if it is in good strength, it is also stabilizing your knee joint, right? Why? Because the calf muscle also is connecting to the femur. So bypassing the knee joint and connecting the lower end of the femur. Okay, isometric adductions. So remember, the best thing is use a block, Setu Bandhasana. So when you're doing a bridge pose, add a flexi ball would be good. A small ball would be amazing. But if you don't have a small ball, if you have a foam block, it would be nice because it will give a slight, pushing out. Or a small, you have, if you go to a toy shop in India, you'll get 100 rupees a ball, small, the kids play, Just take that ball, and when you're doing a bridge pose, try to squeeze that ball. You will try to activate your adductors. That means basically strengthening the adductor muscle. Otherwise, what will happen? Normally, the knee will go out. You will not realize it. What is happening to the foundation of my feet? My feet is also going out. And that is the reason adding a block or a bolster or anything that will just give you a little bit of more contraction that will help to engage. Yes, Saurabh?
So in Vrikshasana, how to do plantar flexion? I know the plantar flexion, but I'm not.
It's like you're lifting the heel up and down. Where it is. So basically what you're doing, I am here. Like now, this is something quite common that we always do, right? Now, but in this, one is try to push that leg in, this leg in, that will activate your adductors. One is what people do is they just stand. Nothing is happening. The leg is going out. Other is I want you to push this in. That means both sides, there is a pressure that is activating. And then what you do, lift up and down. Lift up and down. Lift up. In this case, what happens? You are working on the calf muscle. The calf, the anterior tibialis, the posterior tibialis, the soleus, the gastrocnemius. Whenever you're working on the group of calf muscle, because one of the calf muscle is bypassing the knee joint and connecting to the femur, that is the reason your asana should be such that they are also strengthening the calf muscle. Now think anything, even in Tadasana, if you do this, 1, 2, 3, right? For even simple as this will work wonders because you are working on let me check. You are working on the gastrocnemius, that is a calf group of muscle, right? That's the reason working on the calf is important and working on the adductor group of muscles is important. Now, whether you want to stretch or strengthen depends upon what the body type is. Is her knees out when they are doing the asanas, or they are in, depending on that. If a person is completely fit, I would say strengthen and stretch both, right? No problem, strengthen and stretch both. Preferred more strengthening. Why? Because as Indians, we see most of the time legs are going out, splaying out all the time in crawl. Like for me, I sit, even if I have to eat my food, I don't have a dining table in my home, a notch chair in my home. It's floor. We sit on the floor, we eat, we do the cleaning, and that's it. So we never had a dining table. We thought to buy thinking that it gives you a little bit of rich look with those spoon and fork. But the problem is we always eat by hand. Once or twice we tried also, everything fall on our clothes. So it doesn't make any sense. So we prefer to sit on floor. So we still sit on floor. So In that case, I need to work more on strengthening the adductor, because my adductors are always outside, because I'm sitting always with the legs out, right? Now, if a person is tight with that, you need to stretch. Now, it depends upon how their lifestyle is, how they sit on the chair. Do they sit like this, cross, or they sit like out leg? It all depends, friends. It all depends, yeah? So small ball, tabletop, hip adduction. This is what I will do it when we practice, yeah? Fine. And this is all the different, stretching is so much that like everywhere the stretch is there, all the different variations. Supta Baddha, Upavista Konasana on the wall, seated, Padmasana, Vrikshasana, Malasana, all these things. Even the Malasana, what you're doing, you're this prone, Mandukasana, the first image, standing, Prasarita, wide leg, forward bend. All these things are basically working on a nice stretch. But now you need to really think whether I need to stretch or strengthen. That is what, as yoga teachers, we need to have a scrutinizing eye to know that, okay, for this student, stretch is good. For that student, okay, stretch and strengthening both is required. Like for myself, if I see my type, I would always require strengthening. That's the reason I focus more on the side lying down series than the stretching. I do once or twice stretching, no doubt, but focus more on strengthening more in that case. Right, so I think okay, this is let me add this also. So most of the time in general, what happens, it is said that both feet together, Tadasana, both feet together, Tadasana, all the time it is said, but once again it depends upon person to person. Now, if you see the difference between the classical era and the modern era teaching, in the classical era, we're talking about roughly 75, 80, you say 100 years back when we had T. Krishnamacharya or B.K. Sanger. During those days, the students were already very thin. In the South, if you see, most of the students were thin and they were more into, military type and stuff. So there, we have this body into three: ectomorph, mesomorph, and ecto, meso, and ecto, meso. Three things are there to remember. Ectomorph means a person with a thin frame. Mesomorph and one more, endomorph, something like this. So basically, ectomorph is a characteristic of the bone or the whole body that is very thin. During those days, most of the students were thin, and that was the reason the cue was given: both feet together, stand straight, to create a discipline into the students. Like Samastiti, okay, Vishram, Samastiti, okay, attention, right? So because of that, always it was saying both feet together. Now it became a standard norm. Everyone started saying both feet together, both feet together. But if a person's hip is broader, if a person's thighs are heavier, then it is always good to have hip width apart than both feet together. Why? Because if we keep both feet together, the adductors will start getting tightened. Okay. So women's hip are wider. We went through this. For many people, standing with the feet at hip distance is more stable, decreasing the Q angle and reducing stress on the knee. Okay. For rest, not a stable and tense adductor. So it depends. But so remember, it is not a hard and fast rule. The only rule I will say, if a person is having a wider pelvic, ask them, feet together feels better or feet hip width apart. Let them decide what they feel better. Okay. Hip over the knee, knee over the ankle. So whenever you're having this, if you see that image, it's always hip, knee, ankle, one line. That's much better. Restores the balance between the inner and the outer thighs. Okay. But if I keep my hip is wider and now I try to keep both the feet together, I am stretching my abductors and contracting my adductors. Okay. Avoid together if you have valgum. Okay, so if you have a valgum, you have already a knock knee, then definitely it is better. If any student is having a valgum, then their Tadasana would be hip width apart, right? Okay, so we will stop here. Just a second. We will stop here because today I had a plan of having practicals. Okay, any questions up till now with hip adductors? Yes, Paru. Okay, Michaela. Yeah.
I have two questions. One is about the hip adductor, and one question is about the previous class. So I don't know, I can...
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, about the hip adduction. So would you say that if you are, this is a personal case, when I'm trying to do Upavishta Konasana, and I'm trying to go more into Samukhanasana, which is the full split. So when I'm going, when I'm trying to open the legs too much, I feel a pain on the outer knee. And I don't have any knee pain whatsoever, never had them, no knee problem, but I don't understand what is giving me this stress in the knee. So I really don't understand. It looks like the adductors are tight and the knee gets out of alignment. Somehow there's not alignment in the knee, and which to me it's doesn't make a little sense, because in Iyengar yoga we use Upavishta Konasana straight to fix knee problem.
Right.
So that's why I was asking you what you think.
Okay. So you know what? Tell me one thing. How many times are you focusing on stretching the adductors, and how many times are you focusing on strengthening the adductors?
Well, in yoga, you know that there are not so much strengthening the adductors.
Exactly. Right? Perfect. No, what I want Michaela to do is for at least 1-2 weeks, take at least 2 weeks. Try to practice on the specific postures or asanas. Especially, I'll give you, it's not asanas based on exercises, where you try to, what is that? Vashishta, side lying series. Okay, in that, I want you to work on strengthening the adductor group of muscles for 2 weeks. Then you try to do the same asana that gives you a knee pain. Right now, when you do the Upavishta Konasana, try to check what is the intensity, the degree of pain. If 1 to 10, just make a note. Okay, it is coming at 8. The pain is 8 roughly. It is like too much pain, less pain. Try to strengthen the adductor group of muscles for 2 weeks. Once again, do Upavishta Konasana, and then once again, just try to see, is the pain reduced? Is the pain same? Is the pain gone? Try to work on this. You will get your idea. Because most of the time in yoga, the only thing that we are doing is stretching all the time. Most of the physiotherapists say that yoga is good for mental state, nice flexibility. But guys, we are not focusing on strengthening. We are not focusing. So we should have a flexible body, flexible mind. But the problem is all the thing that we only do is stretching. So if Michaela, Setu Bandhasan, putting a small ball in between and trying to squeeze that would also strengthen your adductor group of muscles. It can be a small ball, it's a very small, kids play with that ball, a football size, and where you're trying to squeeze the ball. There is where you will try to strengthen the adductors.
So the video that you showed us is both work. What the guy was doing, it was just working on both strengthening and stretching. Looks to me.
Yes, strengthening it. Yeah.
It's
but
together.
No, it's together. But what I want you to do is, because stretching is no doubt is best. Like you have been doing your stretching muscles, the muscles have a good flexibility. The only thing it requires is contraction, right? For that contraction, 2 things. One is do a Setu Bandhasan, add a foam block, anything that gives a slight resistance. It should not be hard like this. You know what? Because this, even if I try to, I don't feel anything on my muscle, because although my muscles will contract in the adductor group, if I'm doing these are my thighs, it will definitely work. But something that is more spongy will give me a little bit of, leverage to push it in, out, push it in, out, push it in, out. In that way, a small ball. We have a Pilates.
With the knees bend or the knees straight?
Knees bend, Setu Bandhasan. It's like
because for us it's with the knees straight, with the legs straight.
yeah, remember, yeah. So it's like this.
It looks pretty hard to me to do that with the legs straight.
Yeah, this is one thing that I also realized, Michaela, that okay, now Setu Bandhasan is something like this also. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what you do is put the block, shin tuck, and important is not lifting the hip up. Important is, am I squeezing that block to strengthen my adductor group of muscle? All right, if you start doing that, do it for 2 weeks, Michaela, and let us know.
With the pelvis almost on the floor.
Yeah, it can be pelvis on the floor, no problem. But I want you to, but it is always also good, do it on the floor, lift the hip up. You will also work on strengthening the gluteal group of muscle, the maximus, medius, and minimus. So it is good because you are giving a nice hip extension also. At the same time, hip adduction. Very good to stretch the hip flexors, the iliac and psoas group of muscle. Very good to work on the gluteal group of muscles that is always weak because of a seated posture. So a Setu Bandhasan with a block in between the thighs is just awesome, friends. It's awesome. So make a habit, because remember, if as Indians, if have been, you think about all the people in India you have in contact, most of the senior citizen will say, you know, after some age, I'm having a knee problem, this and that. And then try to figure out, do you sit on the floor throughout the whole day while cutting the vegetables and doing all stuff? Now see about those people who cut their vegetables on the chair. Those people who cut their vegetables on the floor, ask them, do you have a knee pain? Some people might have, some people might not have. It's not a standard rule. But in general, I have seen that those who sit on the floor in a cross-leg position, it gives them a knee pain. It's in general, not everyone will have it, right? Because everyone's body posture is different. Yes, Parul, you had a question? Someone else had a, Parulji, yes, go ahead. Parul. Unmute yourself, Parul.
Sir, my neighbor's child, he is 14 years old, but he is walking like this, you know. वो खड़ा भी रहता है, he is standing like this. Why he is not able to put his feet like this? What is the reason, sir?
At the age of 14, he's still growing.
Yeah.
So sometimes what happens, these students after age of 14, 15, as they cross over, their body automatically molds and they start getting more straighter. For some, it may not. Okay, this is the way. There are many people who walk slightly duck walk. So when they do a Ardha Chandrasan, or when they do something with the one leg, their legs would be slightly externally rotated. That is not a problem as such.
So not slightly, it's totally like this.
Then
they're able to stand like this, you know, like this.
Yeah. Then for that, they need to slowly and steadily work on the adductor group of muscle. So the best thing is same, Setu Bandhasan with the block in, and try to do it. But remember, not too much. Do 1 day, give 1 or 2 days break, then do 1 day, give 1 or 2 days break. Otherwise, you will have like Gayatri. Yes, Gayatri. Like I told Gayatri that okay, chin tuck is very good. She did a lot of chin tuck and she started having a neck pain. Anything too much good is also not good. It is bad actually. So balance of yoga and balance of other form of exercises is very, very important. Because we are yoga teachers, we always think like, okay, yoga is good. Apart from yoga, all the other thing is bad. No, not really. You have to really explore other forms of exercise, whether it is gym training, Pilates, as I told you, all the other things. That is where we learn, right? So if someone is saying gym, go ahead, good, it's very nice. He will have a good understanding about you also, that wow, this teacher is so flexible from the mind. He accepts everything. But at the same time, say yoga is good. Because we are yoga teachers, we have to push ourselves a little, right? Yes, Deepika.
Sir, actually, I have one client. He's just 15 years old, actually. So, and sir, what is the problem? He completely sit on his sofa and chair only. And when he was came at my place for 1 day, so he said, "Ma'am, I can't sit on the floor because my knee are paining." But because on this age, in a 15 years old age, he's sit on the floor and he started paining in his knees actually. But now what I do, I will start it to at least you have to sit on the floor with the block support actually. But now that I'm at least almost 2 or 3 months, now he can sit literally okay. So
okay, that's fine.
Now I can sit. Now I can sit but a little, still, sir, he have a little hunch on his upper back actually. So how can it's reduce, sir?
Work on trapezius, work on the rhomboids, the upper traps, middle traps, rhomboids. Now you should think like this. If it is a hunchback, which muscle is tight? Okay, the pec major minor can be tight, the serratus can be tight. Okay, what I need to focus on? Okay, what else here? The sit group of muscle, right? The supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, all these muscles are getting tight. I need to externally rotate because this is a hunchback. First, check neck. What is the neck position? Is the neck forward? Okay, if the neck is forward, then I once again want to correct there. So as I told you, first and foremost, neck alignment. Means blindly, you don't know anything, and neck alignment is first. Check, is it a hunchback, Dowager's hump? Okay, start working on the trap group of muscle, start working on the rhomboids instead of stretching all the time, trying to contract the back group of muscle. By even standing in Tadasana, if you can try to see that, okay, let me stretch the pec major minor, contract my trapezius, mid traps and rhomboids, where the scapula is going in. Whenever the scapula is going, automatically, because we have a scapular-humeral rhythm, automatically this will go out. So if I'm trying to contract my rhomboids, what is happening? There's an external rotation of my shoulder socket joint, my deep hip, shoulder muscles, as well as the deltoid superficial muscles. They both will get worked. They both will stretch from here, right? It's as simple as that, You only need to focus on which muscle, what is the position. You will always find, in general, friends, you will always find people hunchback, forward head posture. That is very common. The first thing you need to do, okay, the traps and the rhomboids I need to work on. I need to work where the scapula that was going out, away laterally, I have to bring it back to the midline of the body. And that will only come because of the shoulder girdle, because of the scapula is connecting to the humerus. You have to do just work on this, right? And that's it. It will take 2 to 3 months or more than that, depending upon how much time he's sitting like this and how much time you are correcting him, right? So you have to tell them, otherwise what happens? We are teaching 15 minutes of working on the traps, rhomboids, and daily 8 hours he's trying to reverse it by doing like this. So for that 15-20 minutes, you worked on the trapezius to be agonist and the pectorals to be antagonist. Throughout the whole day, he is trying to uncorrect it by the pec major minor to be the agonist and the trapezius and rhomboids to be the antagonist. Making sense? That is the reason you need to work on that. Yes, Deepika, is it right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
One more thing.
Ritesh,
Yes.
you said Vasishthasana to strengthen the adductors.
The modified version. I will show you the modified version, not that Vasishthasana with the straight like this, and because then definitely you're working on the obliques and latissimus dorsi and the serratus anterior. A modified version is basically lying down and working on the legs only. You got it? See, in yoga, what happens? We don't have any lying down series, if I remember. Since, we don't have anything on the sides. Right? We don't have anything. The only thing we have is supine, prone, tabletop, standing inversions, and bakasana, kakasana, all sort of arm balancing poses. Apart from that, I don't find anything on the sides. So I will recommend you to add it on the sides. Or the other thing is in tabletop, legs out, abduct, adduct, abduct, adduct. That is what you can do. But I will tell you, much safer, much aligned is a side lying series that is there in Pilates, and that we will practice. What we will practice, it is already it is already 7:10.
Thanks, Ritesh. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
Gayatri.
Since now I stopped this chin tuck from past 1 week, but now I'm working on to correct that. So still the pain is not going because of I'm contracting my rhomboids because of that reason. Maybe.
No, it will take some time for the neck pain. It might take 1 or 2 weeks. Don't worry. Don't now even you avoid this. Give a break to the upper back muscles for some time, because even when you're working on the traps, you're also working on the levator scapulae and the upper trapezius. You got it? So that's the reason. Just give a break for 1 week where you're not utilizing the upper traps, levator scapulae, and the deep extensor. Everything would be fine. The muscle says, Baba, break de do. Give me some space. The muscles are saying, please give me a break. You have overused me. That's the reason I always say,
And
overuse.
like this.
It is either overuse or underuse that might have a problem. Okay. So you need to be very careful. Okay, is that clear with the adductor group of muscle, right? And why we need to focus on people with knee pain and lots of other issues. Lots of things are there, my friends. Whenever you have someone is having a problem, you have to think on a muscular point of view. When you see the posture, you should analyze what is tight. You should see the knee in relation to the ankle and hip. You should know what is tight. And that's the reason I always tell, sit at a crowded station, sit at a crowded junction and watch people walking by. And okay, this person, okay, upper back, okay, anterior pelvic tilt, okay, like this. So try to watch people and get an idea if a person is having a hunchback, kyphosis, lordosis, what is the muscle tight, what is the muscle weak, what should I do? If you start working on like this, just 2-3 months, friend, think like this. Okay, this muscle, okay, it can be the quads tight. Definitely the quads are tight because he's sitting throughout the whole day. He's holding a bag in his one hand. Definitely one is in all. You got it. This is the way you can start thinking. And that is where you will start analyzing, getting your answers. And that is where after this course, friends, I want you to read books that I will be sending you. I want you to read people. I want you to see people when they're doing the asanas. What is happening? Urdhva is the TVA being active? If the TVA is not being active, what is happening? Anterior pelvic tilt and the rib cage popping out because it is no connection. It's all out. So basically, if the TVA is not active, what will happen? This is going to happen. Stretching of the rectus abdominis. What we need to do? Zip up of the abdomen, the cord set, right? And that's the reason it is very important. Is that clear, friends? What is the time? 7:30. Okay, let us do 15 minutes, something or the other. Okay, come. Let us lie down on the back. So I'll give you 2-3 minutes. Adjust yourself. So just might be. I'll give you 2-3 minutes of a break. Take your time. Adjust your cameras. No hurry.
More, maybe, yeah.
I'm back, and so just lie down on the back, relax for some time, observe your breathing. So lying down in the supine position, let me also change my cam. Okay, so there's a gap between the feet. Chin tuck, palms are facing up, and just allow the body to relax for some time. Observe your breathing. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in and breathing out. Conscious breathing. You're just trying to observe. And whenever you try to observe your breathing gets slightly little bit more deeper. And now, watch me. I'm trying to work on strengthening the adductor group of muscles on the side lying series. So what I am doing is I'm lying down on my sides. I will give you two options to lie down. So,
Ritesh,
yes.
the ball is blocking you.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Okay, so now what I do is, just a second. Yes. I lie down on the sides. Okay. So I go a little bit more up. So you have two options. I have a wall here. That's the reason I'm bending my elbow. You can straighten the elbow if you have a space. I have a wall. That's the reason my elbows are flexed. Okay. One option is you can keep your head on your bicep like this. Okay. Chin tuck. And your body should be straight. That means you are not going into forward or backward. Try to feel the greater trochanter on the femur. Your femur, if you touch your femur, there is a bone here, a protuberance that is known as a greater trochanter. So whenever you're lying down on the sides, I want you to feel your greater trochanter. So I don't want you to put your weight on the buttocks or on the quadricep. Keep it exactly on the sides. Okay, that is one. Now what I want you to do is you are lifting the top leg up. So what you do, you keep your left hand or the right hand in front. Once you keep the right hand in front, it gives you more stability. Your neck muscles are relaxed, right? So I want the top hand in front, keep the core engaged, zipping up of the abdomen. So what I want you to do is, don't loosen the abdomen. Because if you loosen the abdomen, the connection between the pelvic and the rib cage is lost. That's the reason I want you to activate your transverse abdominis, your rectus abdominis, slight activation. Don't tighten it, okay? I'm keeping my hands in front. There is no tightening in my levator scapulae. What I'm trying to do is I try to take the shoulders down. So my neck is long, my neck is stretched, it is not squeezing. Remember, when there is a lot of effort happening, the upper body starts getting tightened. I don't need this. What we need is to keep the shoulders down and relax, chin tuck. I don't want the head position like this or like this, okay? Exactly like Tadasana, check, chin tuck, right? Now what I do is, I am very slowly lifting the top leg up. Now think what is happening. When I'm lifting my top leg up, my adductors are getting contracted. It becomes agonist. My adductors are now getting stretched. They are becoming your antagonist, right? So when I'm taking my leg up, my adductors are becoming agonist. My adductors are getting stretched and becoming antagonist. But now, when I take the same leg down slowly, now what is happening? my inner thigh muscles are getting contracted, they are becoming antagonists, and my adductors are becoming antagonist. The inner thighs are contracting and down. Once again, with an inhale, you lift up. Keep that core engaged, and exhale, take it down. Okay, very slowly, and check the pelvic is not going. I don't want you to lift the leg so high. Okay, no, not required. The work is very short. Lift up, inhaling up very slowly, that's it. And very slowly take it down. Inhaling, taking it up. Exhaling, taking it down. Last one, I will not do too much because otherwise your TFL and your abductor group starts paining. This is primarily focusing on strengthening the abductor and stretching the adductor. Got it? Primarily strengthening the adductors and stretching the adductors. Now, if I want to strengthen on stretching the adductors and stretching the adductors, then what I need to do is I need to take this leg in front like this. Okay, so what I did, my leg, I took it in front like this. My hip is still sideways. Now what I'm trying to do is I am lifting my lower leg up like this. 1 and down. 2, short range, slower and down. 3, slower. Especially when you take it down, go slow. Upper body completely relaxed, don't squeeze it. Shoulders are down. Stretch in the levator scapulae. Keep that shoulder blades down, scapula down. Activate your lower traps. That keeps your scapula down. And take it down slowly. Keep that shoulder down. Don't tighten the neck muscles. If you take the leg too much higher, then the neck muscle starts getting tightened. If that is the case, just lift slightly up and take it down. Now, whenever you are lifting this leg up, the lower leg against the gravity, you are strengthening the adductor, stretching the adductor, right? Go slower. You might find that the leg starts paining instantly when you start doing this because you never strengthen the adductor group of muscles. Hold that position, breathe. So what we did with the right leg, that is the top leg. For me, it is the left. For you, it might be the right, depending upon what side you have done. What I did, the first one was lifting the leg up. Here what I did, I stretched my adductors, contracted my abductors. Second we did was this. Now to balance it out, what you need to do is just turn around and try to do the other side. That's it. Just turn around, go for the other side. Same position, check my body. Okay, it is in line with the mat, parallel to the mat. My vision is parallel to the floor. It is not going towards my toes or towards the back. My hands are in front. Let us do abduction of the top leg. So what I do is inhale, I lift my leg up very slowly, as slow as you can think. That is where the benefit happens. Keep that core engaged. Check the upper part of the body, your shoulders relaxed. Don't tighten the upper part of the body. Keep that core engaged. Transverse abdominis, rectus abdominis active. Take it down slowly with an exhale, very slowly. Take your own speed and time. You don't have to follow me. It's completely fine. Inhaling, lifting it up. What we are doing here, we are trying to strengthen the abductors, stretch the adductors. The more slow you go, the more pain you will find in your tensor fascia latae, in your sartorius, in the group of the abductors that we will talk about on Monday, the group of muscles in the abductors. Today we focused on adductors. Here also you will find an intense pain on the sides, very intense pain. It's like you cannot do it, such a pain that comes in. And then take it down slowly, relax yourself, observe your breathing, inhale and exhale. Now what I do, I will take the top leg, bend it in front and keep it on the floor
like this. So I'm stabilizing my pelvic with the top leg in front. Then one option is I'm lifting it up and taking it down slowly, super slow. The more slow, the better. Inhale, lift up and start strengthening my adductors, and I'm stretching my abductors and I'm going down slowly. The first time or the first week that you do, don't take it too higher, just slightly up and down. Slightly up, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Release it. Come back, change the sides. Now go with the other side once again. Okay, I check my position. Am I parallel to the mat? Yes, I'm parallel to the mat. Is my vision in front? Yes, my vision is in front. Am I in Tadasana? Yeah, perfect. I'm in Tadasana. Not front, not back. Exactly, right? Now, once again, my top hand is in front. I keep my shoulders relaxed. So my levator scapulae, my trapezius, so mostly the lower traps are going down. My core is engaged. My abdominal group of muscle is stabilizing my upper body and the lower body, right? I check, perfect, fine. Now watch. This is staggered. Staggered means you're lifting the top leg up, then you lift the bottom leg up, and then you take both legs down. So watch before you do. Okay, watch before you do. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, inhale, exhale. The knee are locked, the toes are pointing. Remember, I'm specifically using the word lock. What I need, the knees are locked, toes are pointing, but don't hyperextend it. So what I do is inhale up, hold, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Two more. Inhale up, exhale down. Don't bend the knee. Last one. One more. Inhale up, hold there, exhale down. Relax yourself. So it is not only the abductor, your gluteal group of muscles are working, your obliques are also working to stabilize it. Okay. Let us change it. Let's go to the other side. So once again, check the positioning. So initial stage when you do, it's always good to switch sides. Once you are very good in it, then you can do all exercises on one side and then turn over. But right now, because we don't want to get the muscles tired, that's the reason we are switching over. Okay, once again, core engaged, glutes active, chin tuck, palms in front. Now let us go for it. Inhale up, hold, 2-breath pattern. Exhale, take it down. Slow. 2. Inhale up, exhale down. 3. Inhale up, exhale down. 4. Inhale up, exhale down. Last one, 5. Inhale up, exhale down. And now lie down on your back in Shavasana. Give gap between the feet, palms facing up, chin tuck, and allow the body to relax. And try to visualize what we did today. We did the first thing was when we lifted in the sides, we started lifting the leg up, we started strengthening the abductors, stretching the adductors. The second option that we did on the side was strengthening only the adductors where the one knee was bent. The third one was both the legs were straight. We took first the top leg up, then the bottom leg up. So what was happening when I took the top leg up, my
abductors was the agonist. My adductors was antagonist. But the lower leg, when I started, my adductors was agonist and the abductors was antagonist. In this way, you try to cover the strengthening of the abductors and adductors, both group of muscles together. Initial stage, you should have at least 3, 4 or max to max 5 count for at least 2 weeks, where your whole focus is that you are holding it longer. Then you can increase the reps. Otherwise, you will have a TFL pain, the tensor fasciae latae pain. Okay, so just allow the body to relax. And now, slowly and gently, let us sit and come near to the screen. Let me know if you have any questions regarding this practice. If something you couldn't understand, if something that was not clear, just let me know. Wait, let me change the screen. Yes. You got an idea what we were trying to do by doing this practice? What is something that you couldn't understand? For those people who had done Pilates with me, they knew it very well, how to do it. But could you get an idea when we were lifting the top leg of what was happening, the bottom leg up, when I was talking about this is agonist, this is antagonist, the lower leg is, you got it? Is there any question with this practice? Perfect. Is that clear? Yeah? Okay, then that's good.
We can use band with this, no?
Yeah, you can use band. You can use band also. You have those elastic bands, small type of elastic bands. You can work more. But you know what? At least for 1-2 months, don't use the band because your leg weight itself is too intense. It starts giving you pain even in the 5 count. Let me tell you that. Many of you would have pain even in that 5 count also. Leave a band. Band is like, Gayatri is like, if you're a really athletic sports person, then the band is required. Like, okay, you are more doing sideways, lunges, front and back. Then all these bands and other stuff are very good if you're athletic or if you're into any sports where it requires more strengthening of the adductors and abductors group. Otherwise, in general, our body weight workout is enough. Our body weight workout is enough. We don't need any other elastic bands to be done. But yes, it is good.
I won't get any sore pain in the inner thigh or the abductor or the adductor. So that's the reason, means I'm not doing it properly or...
No. You are doing it properly. You will always find it, especially the outer thigh, that is the lateral side of the thigh, always giving a pain for everyone. If you question all the people, everyone would have a slight pain in that TFL area, the sartorius muscle, the tensor fasciae latae group of muscle. Everyone.
I told.
Sorry?
I'm not getting pain. So, so that's the reason I'm asking whether I'm...
No, it's okay because you're also doing cycling, right? You're doing all those things also an activity. So yes, so then for you, you need to work on, see, important is if you're not getting a pain, there are 2 things. Either you're not straightening the knee, either there is no plantar flexion, the toes are not pointing forward, your core is not engaged. If you're parallelly straight, definitely after 7-8 you will get a pain. But if your knees are bending, that's the reason I say lock your knees, but only don't hyperextend. But there are some people when they lock their knee, they hyperextend the knee, depending upon person to person. When I lock the knee, my knee gets slightly flexed. For some people, when they lock the knee, they get hyperextended. So depending. So if you are keeping the knee straight, plantar flexed, after 7-8 counts, if you do very slowly, important is very slowly. What people do, lift up, down, lift up, down. Then it is not going to happen, right? And there are also chances when people lift it too higher and then take it down, you will not have a pain. The pain comes with that short range, only this range. And when you hold it, it's very, what people think, the more higher I take it, more flexibility. No, here we don't require flexibility. Here we require strength. That's the reason the best thing is this is the floor. I will take it up. I will just touch it. Just take it up, touch it. So initial stage, you can rest the leg, turn over. then turn over, then turn over. But later on, as and when you're getting better, same side, repeat it 5-6 times. Don't touch the floor. Just touch it, slightly lift up. Touch it, slightly lift up. But don't rest. So you get a complete range of hip socket joint on the abductor and adducting group of area. Right, Gayatri?
Okay, sir.
Fine.
I will try that. Anyway, neck is not.
Okay, come. Let us sit in a cross-leg position or any position that you're comfortable with. Tall feeling. Okay, and I want you to practice this posture on the side lying series. It's a complete side lying series. I will, as and when we practice, I will let you know. Come. So shoulders are relaxed, shoulders externally rotated, stretching the pec major minor, contracting the middle traps. Activate your lower traps so that the shoulder blades are down. When you do a chin tuck, you are stretching your suboccipital group of muscle, your erector group of muscle, your upper traps also. Try to activate your posterior deltoids. When you activate your posterior deltoids, your anterior deltoids get stretched. They become antagonist, and your posterior deltoids become agonist. Slightly. Visualize that you're lengthening from the crown of the head. You're trying to sit erect, and whenever you try to sit erect, you are activating the erector spinae group of muscle. You're also activating the transversospinalis group that is helping you to stabilize the vertebral column. Keep observing your breath. I'm also aware that my core is slightly engaged. It is not tight, because if it is too much tight, I cannot breathe, I cannot talk. So I need to have slight activation in the abdomen that stabilizes my lower part of the body and the upper part of the body. So activation is required. And a gentle smile. Om Shanti. 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 Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Erita. Thank you, Mikhail. Thank you, Kalpana, Gayatri, Ritika, Bhavana Gupta, Bhavana Desai. Okay, thank you, Saurabh. Thank you, Parul. Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you all. Have a nice weekend. And if you still have any questions, feel free to call me. I will love to talk to you. So don't think that you are disturbing me. In fact, you are helping me to grow. Okay? So do not hesitate. I might answer, I might not answer. I don't know. Right? Okay, so I'll see you. Yes, Michaela?
Ritesh, can you send the video that you just were showing us? Can you send the video?
Which video? Oh, the Van Damme?
Yeah.
Okay, I will send you the link. I will send you the link. Okay, let me tell you that video. I actually, so first when I saw that, we were like, wow, amazing. But when I actually saw the background, how it was worked, everyone can do it. Even you can do it if you have a split wide. First time when I said, oh my God, amazing. but it is all strings attached. It is your strings attached on the hip. So this guy is wearing a jacket inside, and the strings are attached. And in video editing, the strings are removed. You got it? So the actual, I will send you both. I will send you. Let me see if it is there.
We want,
So you
we
know
want to
that.
see the trick. We want to see the. That's more
So,
interesting.
so I was very keen to know how come this person, and with this age of 60, 55, 60, how can he take that risk in, like, oh my God, and damn, it's like, oh my God. So then I was very keen to know, has he really done it? But then I realized this, with the paraphernalia, with the people that he had, with the cranes that were there that was holding it, I realized that even I can also do it, no problem. But if I have that type of support, I can, everyone else can do it. Let me tell you that. Yeah, it's like this. Okay, so I'll share with you. Take care. Chalo. Take care. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy yourself.
Everybody.
Go watch the videos. God bless. Take care. Keep smiling.
See you, everyone. Bye.
See you. Namaste. Take care. Bye, friends. God bless.